Okay. Howdy, howdy, y'all. As always, thank you so much for everyone that's tagging in virtually, in person, live, online at a later date. It's always great to have you guys tagging in for these types of sessions. We're always uniquely blessed to have some great people. And today, again, we have a really exciting and interesting person who's joining us to talk about strategic networking. Additionally, thank you to Bergville ISD, Fort Worth ISD for directly giving us the opportunity to try and connect with your students and be helpful in meaningful ways. Thank you to A&M Commerce, UNT Dallas, and Tarrant County College for sharing these resources with your students through your student activity offices, or of your individual professors who we have relationships with, that you're sharing it with your classes. That's always, we really do appreciate that you're encouraging them to look at this as extra credit opportunities. So with that being said, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna introduce Eric Morris. I'm gonna read from a bio we've put together. That way, in case you guys can't hear it too well or you can't see it too well from wherever you are, that you can get that intel. But no, we have a really cool guy here, and I can't understate that. I know we have great speakers all the time, but I really do think Eric's unique in a way that I'll elaborate more in a moment. But going straight into the bio. So the gentleman we have today here is Councilman Eric Morris. Eric is a 24-year-old college student and community leader who currently serves as a councilman for the City of Haltom. Eric is a lifelong resident of Haltom City and graduated from Haltom High School with Birdville ISD in 2007, receiving his associate degree from Tarrant County College, and currently working towards earning his bachelor's degree at Texas A&M University in Commerce. So Eric currently works as a pharmacy technician and has worked in a variety of settings, including the retail community pharmacy space, outpatient hospital pharmacy field, and inpatient hospital pharmacy environment. Eric was elected to the city council in May of 2022, and proudly helped promote good governance at the local level, with a focus on economic development and lowering residential taxes. Now, among Eric's hallmark achievements has been his leading involvement in attracting and securing the H Mart grocery store and shopping center development, and that's scheduled for construction in Haltom City. So, kind of adding more to that, the reason I think Eric's a uniquely exciting and important guest speaker for a lot of you guys is, having also worked, in government relations myself. Politics is tough. It really is. It legitimately is one of the hardest things I've ever seen people do. I can't understate that. It's probably easier for me to sell product than it is for me to dance in that arena. And Eric, at a very young age, was not only involved, which is incredible because that's a great way to meet people, but he managed to become an elected leader, and that entails building relationships with groups like the fire department, law enforcement, of course, just residential community members. And for those that might have anxiety or may not necessarily be the most, what's the word, outgoing, or et cetera, it takes a lot of courage. And for those that have those traits of wanting to be outgoing, it definitely takes a lot of emotional strength and dexterity, I guess, or stamina, because it is hard work to try to meet all these incredible, interesting people in your community. So we got a really interesting guy here just on that alone. He's a college student. He's an alumni from Birdville ISD, from Tarrant County College. These are community spaces that you guys are currently in, and he hit the ground running. So for those of y'all that are listening today live, and for those that are joining virtually from other campuses, whatever Eric shares with you, I would take it very seriously, because I know we've had great speakers in the past, but again, based on my observations and what a lot of other electeds have flagged for me, it really is a unique and challenging environment that he's in, and that just adds extra gravity to whatever advice he gives you. So I just wanted to stress that, because it is cool. It is a big deal. And I think you guys will hopefully get some good intel from a person that's pretty close to your age. With that being said, I'm going to stop sharing and toss it over to Eric. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us, man.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate the introduction, and I totally agree. politics and being elected official is very unique and very interesting. You never can really prepare for this. You'll never know what you need to know to be successful in this role. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing the screen now. So y'all please let me know if anyone can't hear me or can't see the presentation. Please let me know. I'm going to assume that everyone can hear and see everything. Uh, Before I begin, just a little disclaimer for everyone. The advice I'm going to give you today, it's not a one size fit all approach. My goal is to kind of give you guys like a toolkit for networking, maybe like a framework for what your networking strategy should consist of. Definitely for many of y'all, depending on what your goals are, your networking strategy may be different. You may need to amend your strategy depending on the industry you're in or where you're going to be living. So by no means is this a hard science. This is ultimately my opinion and my observations and what has worked for me personally. So just keep that in mind as we are moving forward. So, as Chris mentioned, I've lived in Haltom City my entire life. My family has lived here for 20, 25 years or so. I graduated from Haltom High in 2017. My brother is actually a current student at Haltom High. He's in collegiate as well. I'm not sure if he's there right now, but he might be there listening. So, I still got a lot of connections to the school and to the community. And I'm hoping that I'll get to continue to live in Haltom City for the rest of my life, hopefully, if things go well career wise. And when I graduated high school, I immediately went into college. I started at TCC, earned my associate's degree from there. I'm currently attending Texas A&M Commerce for my bachelor's, and just to kind of tag on to the whole networking conversation, what made me choose A&M Commerce was actually networking. I learned about some programs there that was very affordable and worked very well for me. And that this was kind of an example of one of the results of my networking. That's how I learned about A&M Commerce and the program that I'm in. And it's worked very, very well for me. It's been a perfect program. I am on track to graduate pretty soon in good academic standing and with no student loan debt. And networking was a big part of how I was able to achieve that. So networking goes beyond just professional development or personal development. It's also academic development as well. And I'm going to emphasize on that point later on here. Um, During my time in college, I've worked as a pharmacy technician. For those of y'all who want to look for a good college job when y'all go to college, pharmacy technician is excellent. In a retail setting, especially, it's very, very flexible. It worked very well for school. And I think you'll get paid a little bit more than most flexible positions that you will achieve while in college. So that's just a little FYI for those of y'all who want to know what a good college job is. Now, I started as a pharmacy technician because I wanted to be a pharmacist. Uh, I really wanted to be a pharmacist, and that's what started me in this. That's initially what I was studying. That was until COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I was working at JPS, that's the county hospital. And towards the end of the COVID pandemic, I was working at another hospital, Texas Health Resources in Fort Worth. This photo of me that you're seeing right here is actually a, I'm going to move that aside here for a second. That's actually a photo of me when I was working at Texas Health in the inpatient pharmacy. Just for your information here, this photo of me, I'm inside of what was called the NARC cage. This is where we hold all of the narcotics and controlled substances. So your opioid painkillers, stimulants like Adderall, all that. It was locked up here. And that's where we would fill all the machines throughout the hospital that the nurses use to dispense medications for patients. This is where we would take the controlled substances and fill those machines. So just an interesting little tidbit about inpatient pharmacy. So a lot of people ask me, why did I run for office, especially someone my age? It's not very typical someone in my age group being involved at all in government or in politics. You don't see that very often. So I knew at a young age that I really wanted to achieve a lot, and I especially knew that, you know, Haltom City, for those of y'all who lived here a long time, or if you know people that lived here a long time, there has been somewhat a decline in Haltom City over the many decades. And I personally observed this growing up here. And, you know, I wanted to be a part of the solution. I'm the kind of person where I'm not just going to identify problems. Anybody can identify a problem. There's not much skill in that. I'm the kind of person who wants to identify a problem and be a part of the solution. Um, and I felt that given my background and my age group, I could probably provide a unique perspective that most candidates for office can't. Again, for the same reason I said before, not very many people in my age group get involved in government and politics. So, what I, at the time, I didn't really know what that was going to look like. I didn't know if I was going to run for office or how I would contribute. I was still figuring things out, and I still am today, but I was definitely back then, I was still figuring things out. In 2018, I applied for a border commission through the city. Uh, every city and sometimes school districts and counties, they have boards and commissions. These are volunteer, citizen led committees that are there to advise the local elected or governing body on a given topic, or they may actually have the authority to approve certain items. So, for example, for most cities, you have like a planning and zoning commission, where if you are wanting to build something new in a city, before you go to the council, you have to go to that city's planning and zoning commission to get either their approval or for them to recommend to the council for approval. If you want to rezone, same thing, go through P&Z. And there's other committees as well. Like there's a library board or library committee as well, where they advise the council on matters pertaining to the library. And usually for most cities, these boards and committees, they have a lot of vacancies, they have a lot of openings, and usually they have a hard time recruiting and keeping people. So in 2018, you know, I was 18, 19 years old when I applied. I was kind of surprised at the time that I didn't get a response back from the city, especially given that, like I said, most of them, they have a hard time recruiting and keeping people. So in 2020, I got a mailer, and a little piece of political mail, and it was essentially asking people to run for office. It was saying there weren't very many candidates. I to this day don't know who was responsible for that mailer, but I took it as like a sign from God that this was my chance. This was basically a sign that this is the step forward for me. If I want to be serious about making things better, this was my sign that I need to actually run and to seriously take some action if I want to make the community better. So I ran in 2020. I was 20 years old whenever I first ran for office for city council. I was unknown. Most people who were involved in the community didn't really know me. There's a few who did, through, you know, because I lived here my whole life. There were some people who knew me, but most didn't really know me, or they briefly heard of me. If you can see here on the bottom left, this was the election results for my first election. As you can see, this was a three-way race. I was unknown. Nobody knew me. I didn't really have any help. Wasn't able to raise thousands in campaign contributions. I was completely self-funded at the time. And I actually almost made it to the runoff. In most cities, you have to have a majority vote to win an election. If you don't have the majority, you go to another election that's called a runoff election. The top two people will go to a runoff. And as you can see, both my opponents got 34% each, and I got 32%, which nobody expected that I was going to get that kind of a result, especially someone that's so young and so new to all of this. And then in 2022, I decided to run again, and this time I won by a comfortable margin. So, moral of the story is, even if you're the underdog, if you don't know what you're doing, if you're still figuring things out, the number one contributing factor to eventually succeeding at whatever it is you're trying to pursue, it's persistence. Persistence is key. If you keep going at it, you'll eventually achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And that's a general rule for most things in life. Here's some more photos of after the election. These are some of my other fellow council members who ran for re-election the same time that I ran in 2022. And whenever you win an election, you actually get a certificate that certifies that you were duly elected to that position, which is pretty nice, pretty interesting. So, you know, when it comes to elections and politics, you can't do it alone. It really is a team effort. I had so many people, more people than I can name, who helped me in achieving what I have achieved. And I'm so thankful to them. And of course, to the voters. At the end of the day, if the voters don't approve of you, if they don't vote for you, you ain't getting anywhere. You need them more than anyone else. And just a big thank you again to all the voters for trusting me with this position. It took a lot of hard work and persistence. I've throughout the years, and not just my election, but even for other elections as well, I've easily knocked on thousands of doors easily and met so many people. And you have to really, I'm sorry, that's an accident. You have to be really adaptable. You got to constantly learn. One of the things that I learned about being in government, and this is going to be the case with a lot of positions that y'all secure, is that you're never going to know everything that you need to know about whatever position you're trying to hold. Um, I didn't know very much about local government when I first began, and there's still a lot to this day that I don't know. I'm constantly learning, and that's the case with every elected official, even people who have been in government and politics for decades. There's still a lot that they don't know that they still have to learn. And the most important aspect of this is networking. Uh, Politics, the bread and butter of the operation is networking. When you go like me, go door to door meeting voters, that is a form of networking. Whenever I call people, send texts, send a piece of political mail or an advertisement on Facebook, that is all networking. And that's the most important aspect of this. I mean, this is your number one tool to letting voters know what you're about. Before I continue further, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page on what networking is and what exactly it is I'm going to be talking about networking. This is the definition of networking from Oxford Dictionary, the action or process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts. I'm going to be a little more specific in what I'm going to be talking about. The purpose of this discussion is I'm going to be talking about deliberate networking. The passive networking is something that y'all do every day when you come to school. When you are talking with your friends, talking with your teachers, that is a form of networking you're doing that every day. That's not something that we usually need help with. We need help with deliberate networking, and more specifically, networking with industry leaders, working professionals, people in an academic setting. That's more of what I'm going to talk about, the kind of networking that helps you land jobs, scholarships, so on and so forth. Networking is really, really important because something that you may not be aware of is most jobs, especially professional positions, career level positions, the kind of positions that people like you and me want, they're not posted online. They are advertised through word of mouth. And there's some good reasons for that. One reason is because if you have a really big position that's responsible for a lot of the revenue of a business, or maybe you have access to a huge budget, you want to make sure that you know the person who is taking on that role. One reality is it's not what you know, it's who you know. I've had a lot of people admit to me, business owners and industry leaders, that they want an employee that they're friends with. They want to have someone that they know personally. They want to be able to work with someone that they can have a backyard barbecue with. It's not all about merit. A lot of, getting promotions or getting jobs, it's about knowing people personally and getting an employer or a boss to trust you as if like your family, as if you're a close friend. It's an unfortunate reality. Hiring should almost always be based off of merit, but a lot of business owners and industry leaders, they want to work with a friend. That's the reality. So, part of what I'm going to talk about today is how can you build those personal friendships with people, those relationships. Another reason why we really want to emphasize on networking is that a resume and a college application, it doesn't really say very much about you. It doesn't really tell people what your work ethic is like. I mean, sure, you can look at someone's grades and someone's work history, but you're only going to be making assumptions about someone's work ethic. It's not going to tell them about your hobbies. It's not going to tell them about your demeanor, your behavior, how you treat people. It's not going to tell people about how you operate on a day-to-day basis. So resumes, college applications, they don't really say as much as you think they might say. How you bridge that gap is through networking. It's through getting to know people. When people get to know you more, they're going to understand more about you than anything you could say in a resume or college application. And most importantly, networking, it gives you a competitive edge over your peers. Your peers who refuse to network or who do not network very well, you're going to get a competitive edge over them. Because, like I said before, people want to work with their friends. When you build those friendships, you're automatically going to be preferred for a position over the competition, over your friends. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples to kind of help really understand what networking is. Networking, it's like building your credit. If you're not familiar with credit, the way it works, essentially, credit tells lenders and even employers and landlords about a little bit about your financial history. Do you pay your debts? Do you pay your bills? So basically, if you have like a credit card or a loan, if you regularly pay your debts, your credit score goes up. If you make regular payments on time every month, your credit score goes up. And the higher credit score, the better. Networking is the same way. It's your professional reputation. If you regularly meet with people, tell them about your work, share about some of your successes, your achievements. Regularly over time, it'll build your reputation. People will know you and recognize you more. It's a very similar concept. There's a lot of similarities between the two. Another kind of metaphor for networking. Networking is like throwing mud at a wall. If you ever have done that, you'll notice that when you initially throw mud at a wall, most of the mud kind of slides off the wall. But the more you do it, the more you throw mud at a wall, the more that it will stick. And networking is the same way. At first, when you're meeting people, a lot of people won't recognize you. They won't really care that much. But after a while, the more that you network, the more you meet people, the more that you achieve, the more that people will hear about you and they'll recognize you and they'll remember you, and the more that they will care about you. So it's a timely process. It takes time, but networking, these are really, really good examples to kind of explain networking. Now, I'm going to give you a secret. I'm going to give you my secret to networking. If I were to put it into one word, why I've been so successful in networking. Okay, I'm going to put it in one word, and this is my secret. And there is nothing in this world that is as good at networking as this. Okay, put it in one word: politics. Never in this world will you ever find any networking opportunity, any profession, any career that is as good as politics. And it's for a simple reason. No matter what job you work, what school you go to, government touches everything, right? Every industry is regulated by government. And even if for somehow it's not, or the regulations are low, it's still heavily influenced by government. Like me, I work in healthcare. Healthcare is the most regulated industry on the planet, right? I can't think of any industry that has more regulations than healthcare. So if you work in healthcare, you have to get to know the elected officials because you need to advocate for your industry. If you work in banking, same thing. If you, as an engineer, well, guess what? When you're building a bridge or a building, there's a lot of regulations you have to follow when you're building that bridge. There's a lot of development standards you must maintain. So again, goes back to politics. You will not find anything better than government and politics. If you truly have a passion in mastering networking, if that's truly what you want to do, politics is your way. You need to get into politics and government. However, I recognize that it's not for most people. It's like what Chris said before, it's pretty hard. It's not for the faint of heart. A lot of you don't have an interest in this stuff. Who wants to sit in a council meeting all day and talk about zoning and budgets? I do. I take great interest in that, but a lot of people don't. So I'm going to give you the framework, just kind of just a couple bullet points. That's the essentials of networking. Okay. And this is essentially what my strategy was. I'm going to elaborate on some of these points. Some of them I'm not, but I'm going to give you the resources to learn about this beyond my discussion. You want to find unique networking and volunteer opportunities. Okay. And the key word here is unique. Going to a social gathering that a lot of your friends go to, it's passive networking, but it's not the best form of networking. It's not the networking that you need help with. You need to find those networking opportunities that most of your friends are not going to. And you need to find the networking opportunities that you're not hearing about. Those are the best forms of networking. And the same thing with volunteering. You need to find volunteer opportunities that has the greatest impact for the community. The volunteer opportunities that, again, most of your peers are not going to. You don't always want to go to the events that your peers are going to. The reason why is if you and 50 of your classmates in your school are going to a networking opportunity, you have to compete with all of them. In networking, there is still competition. The competition, while this is meant to give you a competitive edge when it comes to finding jobs and educational opportunities, the competition is still there. It doesn't go away. So you don't want to have to compete with 50 people for a networking opportunity. At that point, you're gambling. It's a lottery. You got less than a 2% chance of achieving something. That's not very good odds. So you want to go where the people are. You want to go where your target audience is. If you want to be a nurse, okay, if that's your goal, you need to go where the nurses are. Meet the nurses. If they have a convention for a nursing association, you need to go there. If nurses, a lot of them work in hospitals, so you need to be volunteering in a hospital. You need to be shadowing or interning in a hospital. Go where they are. Now, don't, though, limit yourself to just the industry that you want to work in. You want to have an open door policy towards everyone. And what that means in this context, if someone wants to meet with you, but let's just say you, again, to go back to the nursing example, you want to be a nurse and an engineer wants to meet with you and talk to you about their industry. While sure, maybe a lot of the information they're giving you will not apply to the goals you're trying to achieve, an open door policy means in this context that even if they don't have the information that you're looking for, you still want to hear what they have to say. Statistically, most people, they switch careers multiple times in their lifetime. Maybe one day you'll decide to become an engineer, or maybe they'll give you information that today doesn't seem relevant, but 10 years in the future becomes relevant. You never know what they're going to tell you. Maybe they give you information that does apply to the career field that you want to enter in. So don't dismiss anyone. Talk to anyone who wants to talk to you, because you never know what they're going to give you. Networking is a two-way street. And let me kind of emphasize what I mean and kind of elaborate what I mean when I say it's a two-way street. The biggest part of networking is you reaching out to people. But one of the things you're going to realize is the longer that you network, the more people that you meet, the more people that are going to reach out to you. So in my case, at first, I started really networking in 2020 when I first started in politics. At first, no one really cared about me, knew me, or wanted to meet with me. But after a while, people will, when they get to know you more, they'll start to reach out to you. New people you don't know will reach out to you because they heard about you through an advertisement or through someone else. To give you an example of this, Chris mentioned earlier about one of my accomplishments, the H Mart, Haltom City is getting an H Mart grocery store and a shopping center. The way that I brought that to the city, it actually wasn't through me reaching out to someone else. It was someone who's now a friend of mine, a guy named James Blocker. He reached out to me and told me about H Mart. And he learned about me through other people. So that was an example of networking that achieved something for the city that wasn't initiated by me. It started through someone else hearing about me and reaching out to me. So it's a two-way street. You're reaching out to people, and in return, eventually people will reach back out to you. new people that you don't know before. For those of you who took biology or are taking biology, you may have been introduced to the concept of the cascade effect. Okay, not literally in the biological sense, but networking has a cascade effect. Your work and accomplishments is going to be cascading, and eventually people are going to reach back out to you. Help others while you network. One of the things I'm going to challenge you to do today is get to know some of your peers and find out what industry, some of your friends, some of your classmates, find out what industry they want to work in. I would go in your iPhone, if you have their phone number, put in the notes in their contact what industry they want to work in. So when you're meeting people, you're also mentioning one or two of your friends as well if they bring up something that pertains to them. And the reason why is because networking is not just about helping yourself, it's about helping others too. And not only that, when you help other people with networking, it's human nature. They're going to feel obligated to help you in return. So when you start helping other people, people are going to notice that. They're going to recognize that. They're going to know that you're helping them, and they're going to help you out in return. And that's going to help your networking efforts. And again, it goes back to that cascading effect. That action is going to initiate a cascade of events that will help you in the long run. One of the most important things is you want to stand out amongst your competition. You want to stand out amongst your peers. And that's a part of the reason why you're going to unique networking and volunteer opportunities that most young people are not. Because by being at an event that most of your peers are not, you're automatically standing out. Utilize social media as a tool to support your networking efforts. Social media is powerful. When used correctly, it can help broaden your audience. Regularly follow up with people and return to meetings. You don't just want to go to a lunch group once and never come back. You didn't benefit if you only went there once. It takes several times for someone to memorize you and remember your name. And most importantly, be patient. It takes time to build a network. And not all connections will produce results, but that's okay. To give you an example, if let's just say I meet with a network with 100 people, at the end of the day, only a couple of them will produce either a result for me, for someone else, or for the city. Most people, when I network with them, I don't really hear that much from them again. I follow up with them regularly, but they don't really engage with me further than that. And that's okay. The goal is this is a game of volume. Networking is a game of numbers, of volume. The more people you meet, sure, only 2% of your interactions produce results. But if you meet with 100 people, with 1,000 people, which is easier than you might think, networking is not that time consuming or as hard as you might think. You can meet a lot of people very quickly. 2% of 1,000 is a lot. That's 20 people that's producing results for you. So don't be so easily dismissed by that. Here's where you want to, the kinds of events you really want to go to. Political and campaign events, community events, civic organizations, your local chamber of commerce. These are really good networking opportunities for you. Trade organization meetings, conventions, work meetings. What you want to avoid, or not necessarily avoid, in the worst category, they're not bad networking events, but they're not the best. You have a better way of utilizing your time. Job fairs aren't really that good because, again, there's a lot of competition. There's everyone there for the same reason, for the same purpose. There's 100, 1,000 people trying to network as well, and there's only 100 people, 50 people who are there to offer a job. There's too much competition. In my opinion, it's not the best form of networking. School events, colleges, and universities, same thing. You have a lot of people in your age group trying to achieve the same things that you're achieving. Popular events amongst your peers, those are more social events. You're going to be tempted to spend time talking to your friends instead of meeting new people. You're not going to see as many industry leaders at these events. It's not the best form of networking. Still go to these events, but this should not be the emphasis of your networking strategy. Some good examples: the Tarrant County Republican and Democratic Party meetings. You might not like the parties, but you still need to take the opportunity to meet them and get to know them. Don't even go there to talk politics. All you have to do is go. A lot of these meetings, Tarrant County GOP and Tarrant County Democratic Party, they have a meeting once every month or every 2 months, and usually it's in the evenings. It's going to be probably like for the Tarrant County Republican Party, they have a meeting every other Thursday evening and every other Saturday morning. Just go there for the before the meeting starts to meet people, and when the meeting starts, leave. Because you're not there to talk politics, you're there to meet people. There are so many industry leaders that go to these meetings because, again, all industries are touched by politics. They're regulated by the government. It is in their interest to be there. Campaign watch parties. If you live in Fort Worth and your council member is running for reelection, go to their watch party and meet them. And a lot of their special interest donors are going to be there too. A lot of influential figures in their district are going to be there too. Take the opportunity to meet them. City council meetings are great. City board commission meetings. Another really good place to go to, the Northeast Tarrant Chamber of Commerce. I'll give you another example of a place to go to. Every Tuesday at lunchtime in Olive Garden in North Richland Hills, they have the Northeast Tarrant Chamber of Commerce Networking Club. Go there. You can't go there during school, of course, but when you're on break or during summertime when you don't have school, go there and meet people. Unique volunteer opportunities. Instead of volunteering to clean up trash at the football stadium, go to the senior center, go to the city library or other city facility, food banks. There's a group called the Mendon Network that on a routine basis, they will come and revitalize homes that need work on their fence or need their lawn cut or their shrubs and trees cut down. Volunteer with a group like them. They go out on a Saturday every other month or so. Every 3 months, they have a project on a Saturday morning. There's not very many people in my age group volunteering with them. Go volunteer for them. If you volunteer for them, you can put on a resume or college application. You don't just have to put, oh, I volunteered 50 hours cleaning a stadium. All of your competition and other schools are doing the same thing. That's not competitive. You're not going to stand out with college recruiters and the admissions department with that. You can put on your resume or college application, I helped revitalize my community through the Mended Network by helping improve someone's property. Not very many young people can say that. That is a real meaningful impact for the community. You're truly bettering the community and you're bettering yourself more than if you took another volunteer opportunity. Now, I said schools aren't the best. A lot of y'all are college bound. You're going to college no matter what. So what if you're going to school or a college or university, it's not the best networking opportunity? Well, you're already there. Make the most of it. Get to know your professors and instructors very well. I'll give you an example. I had a professor when I was at TCC in 2018, 2019. She actually got a classmate a job, a really good job through her brother. This classmate would visit with this professor a lot, usually for help or with an assignment or whatever. And through the professor, this classmate met her brother, and her brother offered her a job making like $80,000 a year, full benefits, and this person never even completed their college degree. To this day, they still don't have their college degree. You'd be amazed as to what some of your professors can offer you by getting to know them. It's a classic example. Another thing to really maximize your networking efforts in college, make sure that every semester you're taking at least one evening class. The reason why is a lot of professors that teach evening classes, the reason why they're teaching in the evening is because they're working in the industry, a 9-to-5 job during the day. So they have unique knowledge and a networking capacity that most professors do not have. They have a network in academia and they have a network in the industry. So you're going to get a lot of knowledge in most evening classes that you're not going to get in a traditional class Monday through Thursday at 9 a.m. Okay, so I would make sure that you take the opportunity to take at least one evening class every semester, because you're going to have a broader network if you do that compared to just taking classes in the morning. Those professors are so much more, they have such a greater wealth of knowledge, the ones that take classes in the evenings. Now, if the event I gave you doesn't appease you, I'm going to give you ways to identify a good networking or volunteer opportunity. You want to find a networking opportunity that includes your target audience, or preferably an audience that you are not familiar with. Find an event that has a high concentration of working professionals and industry leaders. If the event only has people in my age group or in your age group, I hate to say it, it's not a very good networking opportunity. Most of the industry leaders and employers, they're not in my age group. I'm in the 18 to 24 age group. They don't fall in that age group. Most of them are not high school students. Most of them are in their prime income years and beyond. They're maybe in their late 20s, but usually in their 30s and beyond. If the event you're going to doesn't have very many people in that age group, you're not going to meet very many industry leaders. Trade organizations and civic organizations. So a Rotary is a great place to meet people. They sometimes, a lot of them usually have membership fees, but every once in a while they will have a event that's free to the public. Go find out what your local Rotary is and go to some of their free events. Trade organization is another great one. Like I said, if you want to be a nurse, if there's the Texas Nursing Association, go to their meetings. They have free meetings too every once in a while. Go to their meetings and meet people there. You want to make sure there's not too many peers, too many of your peers. Again, they're competition. You want to eliminate your competition. You want to reduce competition. One of the key terms here, you want to be the youngest in the room. Okay. And volunteering, again, does your volunteer work have the greatest impact on the community? Is it unique? Does it benefit everyone? You need to start networking today. It takes years to build up a network. You have to start right now. A lot of my friends made this mistake of networking when they graduated college, and they ended up years without finding a decent job. You need to start networking right now because it takes years to meet enough people to really get decent job offers or educational offers. Talk with your classmates and get to know them. Learn more about their professional ambitions. Like I said, mention some of your friends when you're networking. If you want to be a nurse and you meet with an engineer, but you know that your classmate sitting next to you wants to be an engineer, mention that with the guy that you're meeting with. It's going to help them and help you in the long run. Effectively utilize and broaden your social media presence. Here's a big one. Something, especially for those who have maybe a social anxiety when they're networking, find a friend or classmate who would like to go with you to meetings. Especially when you meet with a group for the first time, bring a friend with you, 1 or 2 friends. Keep it to a small group because if the group is too big, you're competing with them, but bring a friend. One of the things I notice when I have conversations with people, when I have a friend with me, the conversations tend to be more engaging. You tend to have more energy between each other, and people tend to have a higher and better perception of you if you're effectively coordinating a conversation between you and your friend. Conversations turn out better when you have a friend with you. So take advantage of that. Be prepared. Try and understand the meeting you're going to and the group hosting it. If it's Texas Nursing Association, I don't know if that group exists. I'm just making it up. Understand what their group is about. Do your research. Know what you're going to say. Try and predict what the conversations are going to look like. While you're networking, you need to approach people. When you're at an event, approach people. Active listening, that's big. Show people that you're engaging in the conversation. You need to make a good first impression. That matters a lot. That can make or break whether someone reaches out to you again or not. Keep in mind that you're building your professional reputation. It's not just about meeting people, it's also what people will know you for. So be on your best behavior. Be mindful of your demeanor and body language. If your arms are crossed when you're talking to someone, that sends the wrong message. That almost sends a message like you want the conversation to end. Don't do that. Make sure that your demeanor is positive. You're smiling. You look like you're engaging. You look like you want to continue talking. Dress appropriately. If you don't know the dress code for an event, in most situations, it's safe to assume business casual dress code. Feel free to share with others some of your accomplishments and what you're there for. If you're at an event, like if you're at a council meeting a council member, let them know you're a high school student. They admire and look up to people, high school students who are ambitious, who want to better themselves, who are going to events that high school students don't normally go to. That will make you automatically stand out. Take advantage of that. Give other people the opportunity to talk to you about themselves. People, what they love more than anything else is to talk about themselves. If you give them the chance to keep going and talk about themselves, they're automatically going to think more highly of you. I do that all the time. When I'm on a phone call with a constituent, I let them control the conversation. I let them tell me what they want to tell me. People will appreciate that when you hear them out and you give them a chance to talk and tell them more about themselves. Use your friend or guest you bring with you to support your efforts, and you should be supporting their efforts too. Back each other up. That's what your friend is there for. When you bring a friend, you need to be coordinating your efforts, working together. You need to have your contact information ready. Ideally, if you have business cards, hand out your business cards. Take this opportunity to learn from others and discover other events. When you're there, if someone tells you, oh, hey, I'm going to go to this other meeting next week, you should ask them, hey, can I join you? Can I meet you there? This is a part of networking, is also learning about other networking opportunities. And you want to build long-term connections. Now, here's a warning about social media. You may have been told that social media is a valuable networking tool. I disagree with that. I am of the opinion that social media is a good tool to support your networking. Social media alone is not networking. When you make a social media post, your message can be very easily misinterpreted. People might judge you based off of a social media post. You really want to make sure that your social media has the lowest room for being misinterpreted and that it is supporting your efforts. So if you met someone at a lunch group, add them on Facebook, send them a message to follow up. That's the real use of social media, and that's the best way to use it. Now, as I'm wrapping up this conversation, there's a lot, for the sake of time, there's many points that I couldn't really mention. So if you want to learn more about networking, these two books helped me out a lot with networking: Purple Cow and How to Win Friends and Influence People. You're probably going to be exposed to at least one of these when you're in college. I would start reading those now. They're very valuable. And How to Win Friends and Influence People, I would get both the original version and the digital age version, because they both have very, very valuable information. Um, so with that, here's my contact information. If y'all have constituent concerns, if you know people that need help with the city, or if you need help getting connected with other elected officials in other cities, or at the state level, let me know. You can follow me on Facebook. I try to make informative posts on Facebook, and advertise community events. Some of the events I advertise on Facebook are good events for you to go to meet people. So please feel free to share my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me if y'all have any questions, or if you want me to elaborate on a certain topic. And with that, I will hand it over to you, Chris, for any questions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was, again, thank you for sharing your time. And that was you hit the nail on it, man. I know we've had a lot of great guest speakers in the past. And they lean on a lot of what you're flagging, but thankfully, I think you really did lay it out in a very clear and concise way that, like you said, we haven't seen before. So that is really cool. I do appreciate it. So I know it's 11 o'clock. And if I'm correct, this is when the students actually start phasing out and running to their classes. And I certainly do want to respect your time as well, Eric. So I'm going to really quickly, for the ISDs that have joined us today, do any of you all have any questions real quick that we can try and answer? Again, Eric has been very kind to share his email. Playing off of the networking thing, it might be in your student's best interest to just shoot him an email with the question. But in the immediate present, is there anything that you feel, faculty and staff, that you really want to just ask real quick? So I'm seeing a bit of a silence, and that's okay. Again, at 11, usually the classes, when they have their cameras on, you can start
Yeah.
seeing the kids packing up, well, the students packing up around 11 a.m. So I'm gonna kind of just lean on that assumption. And again, guys, Eric, he shared his email. He has his phone number here. Take advantage of that. The council that he flagged he's on the money. I hate to say it in many ways, but he is. And if any of you have actually visited with TILBM staff directly, that's something we stress. Find a party that you can hang out with, because attorneys, doctors, those people show up to those meetings, and those are the good people to talk to. With that being said, though, I see the classes are checking out. Hey, Eric, I do appreciate it. Again, this was cool. This was really important information, and I think it's uniquely important. So I'll be stressing that to our partners. That way, they can forward it to their students. You really did lay out a strong waypoint on how they can get started. The local chambers, Rotary is a great group. The Rotaract is the high school version of that. So yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. And again, I want to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to share my knowledge on that. As you can tell, it's a lot of information. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So, like I said, I encourage people to read those books and just follow some of my Facebook posts. I try to advertise community events a lot, so those are good events to go to. And yeah, but again, thank you again, Chris, for this opportunity, and I appreciate everyone for watching my presentation.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely, and thank you again, dude. This was cool. I personally learned a lot, and it's given me a good amount to think about. So I suspect the students and faculty and staff will also have that impression. With that being said, I'm going to stop the recording, and yeah, everyone have a great holiday. Well, have a great weekend in this case.
Thank you.